All right, so today we'll be talking about how much water should you feed to watermelon vines um, every day. So melon vines, as you know, they grow very similar to watermelons. Melon vines, you can take this advice and basically use less the advice that I'm about to offer. So that's Harumadu looking very good. Um, so watermelon vines, the first thing I always say is or the first thing I say that you need to consider is plant size. So, is it a new start? Is it a plant that's vining out already and has flowers on it? Or does it have fruit sets on it? Um, or is the plant actually ripening its fruit sets? So, all this really matters. You don't want to give your new starts the same amount of water as you would give a vining plant that's flowering, and you don't want to give a flowering plant uh, the amount of water that a fruiting plant would need, because a fruiting plant gonna need a little more water, and you definitely don't want to give a plant that's ripening its fruit as much water as you were giving in any of the other stages, especially to the plant that's just starting to fruit. All that really matters. So let's start from the basics. New starts. You definitely don't want to give you can give your plants a gallon a day, but you don't want to give it any more than a gallon a day. It doesn't matter what size the plant is. I wouldn't recommend like if it's a seed that you just put into the soil and it's just growing, the root zone isn't that deep, so there's not much water that root can catch. Though the roots have to actually come in contact with the water for it to be fed into those leaves. Just sitting there and pouring water onto the soil, that's not going to water your watermelons. Those roots taking in that water is what's going to water your watermelons, if you get what I'm saying. So new starts, I say half a gallon. Half a gallon, nothing more. A plant that's just starting to vine out, maybe like these Desert Kings over here. That was Lila Nau Sweet Glow that we were just looking at. Now these Desert Kings over here, you can see they're just starting to vine out, and they're just starting to produce their flowers. So a plant like this, a gallon a day for sure. If it's in a grow bag, just like how that Lila Nau is over there and how these Desert Kings are right here. If it's in a grow bag, I give the whole grow bag itself 2 gallons. But if we're just talking about individual plants, I'll give it 1 gallon. Now also, you want to consider if you're hand watering, using a sprinkler, or if you're actually using drip irrigation. If you're using drip irrigation, you can actually double the amounts that I'm saying, and it'll be fed to the plant over an extended period of time. So that Desert King can actually get 2 gallons a day if it's on drip. But you don't want to sit there and try to pour 2 gallons at one time, because it will not drink all that water at one time. If it's raining, you don't want to give any water at all. Look at all this beautiful rainwater inside of that container. It's about 20 gallons in there already. So here is Wondermelon Watermelon. You can also see it's flowering. So this whole bag would get 2 gallons. It wouldn't matter what's going on. If they're fruiting, I might give it a little more, but at the stage of flowering, or if they're just new starts, I just put 2 gallons in the bag and call it a day. I just try to get that whole top layer moist. Wondermelon Watermelon is actually fruiting, and I've seen fruit sets that are starting to set on their own. I know I saw at least one in here somewhere, but there's fruit sets on it. So considering that it's setting fruit, I can give the plant maybe about 2 gallons if I'm just feeding the individual plant. 2 gallons for sure, but you want to do it over an extended period of time. Or you can put 2 gallons on a plant early in the day, and if it's just real hot, your soil gets real dry real fast, you can put 2 gallons down and then come out during that hottest part of the day or something and put another 2 gallons down. I always tell myself that if there's I forgot what I was about to say. Yeah, so it's not really hard. It's not rocket science getting your plants watered. You can see these are vining out real nicely. I mean, 2 gallons a day, that's about all you need, whether it's in the grow bag or if you're feeding an individual plant. But I hand water everything, so I go about it the easiest way possible. I don't try to just sit there just trying to find reasons to just keep dumping water on my plants if I see the plants are healthy. If I see they aren't healthy, I might give them a little more water, a little more fertilizer. That's another thing. You can fertilize during the times. I mean, you can water during the times that you're fertilizing and whatnot also. I'm really trying to find that fruit set because I know I just saw it earlier. Oh, here it is. So this one set fruit on its own. So I'm gonna start coming out hand pollinating, and this one actually looks more uniform than the other one that had blossom and rot. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's watermelon. And now that I see it started setting fruit, just like I said, it can easily take up to 2 gallons a day. That fruit itself will take in all that water. Before then, there's not many places in that plant for that water to go, so the plant is only going to drink as much as it needs. If you talk to most watermelon growers, they'll tell you they don't give any more than 2 gallons a day to their plants, and a lot of people are feeding their plants on drip irrigation. The way my setup is right now, and how and the fact that I'm continuously expanding my garden, I don't have drip set up right now because I would have to keep redoing the drip system to accommodate all of the new plantings and whatnot. So I'm waiting until I have my whole bed planted, and then I'm going to lay out drip. But before that, I'm just going to hand water everything. I don't really mind. That's why I have my containers out everywhere and whatnot. I take my little 2-gallon. I'm not going to do it right now because it's raining. But I take this little 2-gallon container, fill it up. I literally go buy the grow bag, pour down 2 gallons for the day, and I call it a day. It's watered. And the plants, they grow real fast. I can show you Lila Nau. I've been giving it water every day, and it's been increasing in size every day. So I think I might put down some more fertilizer because I see it's growing so fast. This was the watermelon that it was odd shaped, and it started getting blossom and rot, so I just pulled it. But I've mulched with it to feed the plants, and also those grape skins are definitely making these plants grow a little bit faster. So I'm gonna start using that as a fertilizer. But 2 gallons a day, guys. I literally make sure that where the root zone, where I believe the roots to be, I make sure all of that is wet, and that's all the watermelon can drink. Me trying to just put 5 gallons, 10 gallons into this one bag right here will not work. I mean, it'll get the soil beneath moist, but it's just gonna feed the earthworms if anything. I'm not too concerned about just trying to feed worms. I'm just trying to feed these plants. I know worms are gonna be there regardless. So this little plant right here, this could half a gallon a day at the most. I mean, you could put a gallon down, but a lot of that water is gonna be wasted unless it's, like I said, it's on drip, and the drip is just drip, 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 doing that for about an hour straight or something, and it's putting out a gallon. That's different than the plant will happily take that in, especially on a hot day. That's another thing. Your weather, is it cool? Is it cool outside? Is it hot? Do you normally have a lot of sun? Do you normally have a lot of overcast days? All that really matters. I get about 14 hours of sun a day. So my plants get a lot of sun. It gets real hot real fast. Things can dry out for sure if it's not wet. And also, do you live in a humid location? It's very humid out here. I'm in Louisiana, Zone 9B. So all that matters, and you have to take that into consideration on your own. Not everybody has the same climate or microclimates, so our watering needs may be slightly different. But for the most part, you don't need any more than 2 gallons a day, even for when you have your large fruit sets on there. I definitely wouldn't give more than 2 gallons a day for especially varieties that might grow up to 30 pounds or so. I mean, you can watch a lot of my videos. I have varieties that grew up to 30 pounds and whatnot, and I have it on film. And I didn't give more than 2 gallons a day. I wouldn't even try to. That's too much water. If you have 1,000 plants, that's 2,000 gallons a day. Let's be honest, guys. Nobody's gonna do that, especially on farms. So that's that, y'all. It's raining. The plants are watered for the day. So how much water will I give it today? 0. If it continues raining this whole week, how much will I continue giving? 0. And like I said, for melon vines, you can cut those numbers in half, because melons tend to grow much smaller than watermelons. They vine out the same way. They have the same type of growth habit, but the amount of water they need is way less, because the fruits are way less. That's really what depends on. I mean, that's really what determines how much extra water will they need during that fruiting stage. And then after that fruiting stage, if you want something sweet and you don't want your melons or your watermelons to pop, yeah, I suggest you stop watering. You can see there's a lot of water collecting out here. So yeah, if you want your melons to be sweet, your watermelons, or not to be sweet, but if you don't want the sugars to be diluted, because it's not like they lose sweetness, but the sugars become diluted from too much water in that ripening stage, and that's when you want to cut the watering to a minimal level, or cut it all the way. I say cut it to a minimal level, because if you have multiple fruit sets on one vine, let's say I only have one vine right here in this bed, or let's say this one plant was the only vine and it had about 7 fruit sets on it, and only one was ripening, I would basically reduce the watering on that plant instead of cutting the watering on that plant, because there's multiple fruit sets that are still developing. Now, if it only had one fruit set and I didn't see any others growing, I didn't see any female blooms opening or whatnot, then I would of course cut the watering completely, if it's not too dry out, but those watermelon vines will find water. But if it's not too dry out, I literally just cut the watering completely, because I'm trying to concentrate that sugar. I want that sugar to be as concentrated as possible, and then that would give you your sweetest melon possible. So this vine is vining out beautifully. It's coming way from over here. 1 gallon a day at the most if it's not raining. 2 gallons a day at the most if there's a fruit set. Wouldn't go above that, and it's up to you if you want to give below that. There's such a thing called dry farming, and dry farming is basically watering with minimal water. This is a real thing. People do this, especially like in the Arizona desert. If you know about the company Native Seed Search, they tend to dry farm things. If you heard about the ancient red-seeded watermelon, Art Combs ancient watermelon that's sold by Baker Creek, if you read the story about that variety, it's mentioned that variety is dry farmed. So I typically like to dry farm because I'm in a humid location that gets a lot of rainfall, but we do have droughts somewhat. Definitely every year we have about a couple week drought, up to a month and a half. So I try to apply dry farming methods, and during those time periods my plants survive on minimal water, so I know when the rain does come, they're gonna thrive. just like how they're doing now. So how much should you water your watermelon vines? I hope this video helped to clear that question for many who may have had it. And when you should or shouldn't water your watermelon vines, I've made a video on that, and I'll tag it below. All right, see you guys in the next one.